All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the August 22nd BOCC meeting. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first thing on our agenda are minutes. Gentlemen, do you have any additions or corrections?
I have none.
Okay,
I move to approve the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners for Montezuma County for August 15th, 2023 as presented.
Second.
been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of Commissioners, Montezuma County, August 15th, 2023. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Planning. Good morning.
So we just have a couple of Mylars to get signed this morning.
Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I see that the application has been withdrawn by the applicant, so I just need to close that public hearing, Kim? And then that now is closed for the record.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
We don't need a motion or anything on it.
All right, that is closed. All right, just a couple signatures?
Correct.
All right, roll them out.
Dang, we're already on the second page.
Yeah. Like it.
Think we can make him smile? He can hear us, huh?
Yeah.
I've got you guys.
That's it for us, unless you got something.
I have nothing,
Nothing.
gentlemen. Okay,
Short and sweet.
well, thank you
Have a
very
good day.
much. Appreciate it. All right, that's all we have for that, so we'll move right on into our public comment session. The Montezuma County Commissioners welcomes you to this meeting. Person speaking during the public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record. Prior to providing your comments, and comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted, and participants may not yield their time to others. With that, the public comment session is open.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Lynetta Scholl, and I reside at 27590 County Road R, Dolores, Colorado. Last night I attended the Fair Board meeting, and there was a lot of concerns that came up, and I'm sure you've heard about some of those. But one of my concerns is that the children of our community are our foundation. And you know, I preach that all the time. So anything we can do to help our children is in the best interest of our county. So a lot of concerns came out about the animals being too hot. One day in the goat barn, it was 118 degrees in that goat barn. So they're trying to come up with ideas to cool those animals down. So I know we talk a lot about things that we can help our community with, like low-income housing and stuff. I look at a different direction. We need to bring people into our community that will bring money into our community. And that's been my one thing about the fairgrounds. So you have the animals that are overheating. There was ideas of bringing in these big coolers and stuff. But one idea is just insulating the ceiling of those barns. That will help. There's fans that are called big ass fans. We could put one in the center of each one of those barns. That would help cool them. Now I'm going to send these ideas on to the Fair Board. They were saying that the stockholders need, or the stakeholders, excuse me, need to be involved with that, or the kids. Well, how we used to do it was the Fair Board would come up with a wish list, and that would be sent down to the kids, and they would decide how they wanted to spend their money and how they could do fundraisers to come up with that. But I think if Montezuma County would at least get the bids on those for us, that would be helpful. We're right in the corridor. We could bring in a lot of colleges that do competitions and things like that. That brings money into our community. There's a lot of things that we could bring in to that fairgrounds that would bring community, but we have to update it. They're not going to put a $100,000 horse behind those panels that we have in there. There's pins that are missing, pins that have been dilapidated, that are no longer functioning. So that could be on the wish list too. But I think we need to kind of focus on that and how we can generate money through the fairgrounds while we're helping the kids of our county. Like I said, the kids are the foundation of our county. We need to keep them here, retain them here, and supply them with the ability to make a living in our county. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Okay. With that, we'll close the public comment session of this meeting, and we will go right to our department head reports. First off, we have Ms. Hargraves, Social Services. Good morning.
Thank you, Kelly.
Take care of these right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I move we accept the minutes from the June 27th, 2020, June 2023. Let's back up. The July 2023 meeting of Social Services, and also the expenditures for the July 2023 in the amount of $1,478,529.63.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the record of the proceedings for the Department of Social Services for July and the payable in the amount of $1,478,529.63. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. So the past month, things have been going really well. I continue to participate in CDHS mandatory new director trainings, so that has taken up some of my time. I continue to engage with community stakeholders, meeting with them individually. That's been really great. I've met with law enforcement, the superintendent, so just a wide variety. Our CSTAT scores did come out yesterday. I don't know if you had an opportunity to review those. All of those really are on par as far as when we look at the state and the differences. We're ahead of the game there. Certainly areas that need to be improved, as well as some modifications in our systems. So when you look at like our PA4 cases, engagement, number one, with parents, are we meeting with them? And engagement with fathers. When we enter the information incorrectly into our trail system for parents that are deceased or unknown parents, we get dinged for that. And so my job this month is to review all of those cases and ensure we have those correct data entries in. I did talk to the Division of Child Welfare last Friday about this, and so I will work with them to correct some of those because they're just inaccurate. But do you have any questions
So
about
is
the
that,
CSTAT
is
scores?
that just ongoing data entry? Is that just something that, why is it inaccurate?
So, yeah, so when we don't enter correctly into Trails, which is the database that we use, when we don't enter a parent who's deceased or unable to locate, so when we have it open as a two-parent household, but we can't locate that parent, we get dinged every month for it, right? Because that parent, so we've entered it incorrectly, and that database is picking that up as a missed visit with a parent, which just isn't accurate because that parent is unable to locate. We don't know who the parent is. And in one case, we have a deceased father that is still entered in the system and not closed out as deceased, which means it's going to trigger that miss every month. So I'm going to work with the state to make sure that we're fixing that and entering that data correctly on our side.
Okay.
But besides that, they look good. Eligibility continues to meet all of their measures at 95% or higher. That means when folks are coming in the door requesting any assistance, we're meeting those applications timely, making redeterminations timely, and doing our job efficiently and effectively. One last piece that I really wanted you all to be aware of is discussions with the governor and the legislation about high acuity youth. So across the state, there are children and adolescents that have such high behavioral health needs that they require a higher level of care. However, the state of Colorado doesn't have adequate placements for those youth, which does a couple of things. It forces us to place children out of state in residential treatment facilities that requires caseworkers to go travel. It requires ICP regulations. Because our local state of Colorado facilities are denying those youth. But another really crucial piece is when we can't find placement for those youth, they have to stay with the department. And so across the state, they've experienced where social workers are sleeping in departments with youth that can't find placement, renting hotel rooms, and monitoring those kids for 24-hour periods of time. And that just doesn't work. And I can tell you, 4 or 5 years ago, we had one of those youth. I spent the night at the department, multiple days trying to find that kid placement, and we must have called 60 different placements in 14 different states. And so I bring it up to you so that when you're a part of those conversations with other commissioners and with legislation, that you're talking about adequate funding for children that have high needs and a more robust offering of behavioral health supports across the state. Rural communities, we're one kid away from that. I mean, if that happened today, we'd have a hard time finding those placements. In addition to that, it requires a specialized evaluation from a neutral party, which typically takes 30 days. And so where do you place a kid that has extremely acute mental health needs, behavior needs that are risky for 30 days while you wait for an evaluation before a child can go into treatment? And then at the end of that 30 days, will treatment be available or will the beds be full? And so I bring it up so that you all, when you're hearing about it, when you're talking about it, can certainly advocate for the state to take action and to do more for those kids.
Okay.
One question, I'm just curious. Does being in school or out of school have any effect on behavioral health? Have you noticed, do you see any reflection of that?
I think that's a really great question. I haven't really noticed. I certainly could look and see what I could find in regards to that. I think for some kids, school is the safe place. And I think for other kids who are maybe being bullied or having adverse experiences in school, they're not doing well, so it could go either way.
Okay.
I think in general, school is absolutely attendance at school, participation in school. Those are protective factors, right, that help kids be successful. And I
Right.
think as a generality, we can say, yes, that's absolutely true.
Okay,
Kelly, Lori, thank you.
appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too.
I don't see, I
Frank?
do see Frank.
Yeah, I do see
He's
Frank.
hiding in the back.
Yeah.
Come on down, Frank.
I changed spots this month.
You did change spots. I was looking around.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As you can notice from my July report, the format has changed a little bit. And I hope it's a better format, easier to read. So with that being said, July 2023 financial report, permanent salaries $3,076.92. Fringe benefits $1,350.92. I had zero on the operating expense. Public outreach was $3,500. Telephones 40. Dues, trainings, and travel was zero. For a total of expenditures of $7,967.84. My July office activities. My appointments for July of 2022 was 138. My appointments for July of 2023, 145, which put me up 7. I had a total of 492 telephone calls, 24 emails, 2 outreaches, and a total served of 663. I had 8 new clients, which brings me up to new clients for the year so far, 39. I had no home visits or nursing home visits, and I filed 11 claims. My claim highlights. I had 14 decisions. 9 were favorable, 5 unfavorable. For 2022, there was 5 out of those decisions, 5 of them came from 2022. And for 2023, 9 decisions were from this year. I had 0 confirmed and continued. My pending claims for 2019, I have 1 appeal. 2020, I have 2 appeals. 2021, I have 2 appeals. 2022, I have 3 appeals. And also for 2022, I have disabilities, there's still 4 outstanding. My indirect income to the county, monthly, 14,775.76. My new monthly annual total, 177,309.12. And my new monthly retro total for July, 41,506.38. Now, going on to the last page, this is a new report that the VA required, and the reason for this is the VA earlier this year had an audit of what they are doing within the VSO county communities. They pretty much failed the audit. And because of that, this new form came out. And these are new requirements per the audit that the VA had that they require. So this first box here, they're going to be paying a little bit differently too. They're going to be paying by hours instead of annually like they used to. So in turn, that can hurt a county. They're still discussing the finer details of it. They haven't come up with a decision on how they're going to make everything work, but this is what they have so far. So for myself, I worked over 180 hours for the month of July. And then within that month, for the second paragraph, the purpose of providing prompt, efficient, and uniform services to Colorado veterans, we hereby certify that the wait time for appointments within the Veteran Service Office is no more than 10 days. So pretty much I am booking right now about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks out. And a lot of that has to do with the recent PACT Act. They had a big, huge thing in La Plata Fairgrounds, which announced, of course, the deadline, the first deadline, which was the 10th. They realized that they couldn't get everything done by that deadline, so they went ahead and decided to extend it until the 14th. Well, that made me go from an average day to triple the work for the month of August because of the PACT Act deadline. And what everybody thinks about the deadline is the PACT Act is going away. It is not going away. That deadline was just for anybody that wanted to get retro payment back to August of 2022 when the PACT Act was signed. They had to sign up by the 14th. So that, of course, made everything ridiculously busy for everybody within the state of Colorado. So with that being said, the telephone calls are transferred over, 492. They want to track emails now. So if we contact a veteran by email, they want to know how many. So for the month of July, after researching that, I went ahead and actually emailed 24 veterans. I had 145 appointments, 2 outreach events, and a total of 663 served. So with that being said, my office is extremely busy. I'm working a lot, I'll just put it that way. And that pretty much sums everything up. I just wanted to let you know also about the SEER program. I did hear from the team this morning, and there's one more document that I have to fill out in reference to the position. And then once that's done, they're going to start screening people to actually be in the office.
So you will start screening them, or they start screening them for you?
That's one thing
Because-
that they haven't answered me on. I told them I wanted to be involved with the screening process to make sure I get a qualified, well, somewhat qualified individual to fill the position. They haven't gotten back to me on that yet. So I'm going to reach out to them this morning and see if that's going to happen, and then I can let Travis know what I have found out. Also, with that being said, apparently they wanted to come out and do a meeting to assess the office because they're responsible, of course, for the pay, the benefits, and workman's comp. That didn't take place because the rep that I'm dealing with apparently was sick, so they are not even going to worry about that inspection right now. I will get some type of detail from them in writing stating that that part of the process has been pushed aside because of situations out of everyone's control. This way to cover not only my office, but the county. And that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Stand down coming up pretty
Oh,
soon?
yes. Thank you for reminding me. Stand Down is coming up on September 16th. From what I am understanding, it's going to be bigger than last year. And last year was pretty big. And in the state of Colorado, we are known as the county with the best stand down within the state of Colorado. So it keeps getting better and better every year. I'm involved, not extensively, but I am involved with the stand down committee in helping them out whenever I have time to do that.
Well, I seen last year, you know, you were kind of up against that fly-in down south of town.
Right.
And this year, the fly-in's in October, so you should have a
Good
day.
turnout, yes. We're hoping. We've been passing word. I've been letting everybody that comes into my office know about the stand down and what it does, what it's for, what its purpose. And a lot of people that I've talked to are pretty excited about attending the stand down.
Good to hear.
Anything else?
Yeah. Oh, good.
All right, thank
Good
you.
job.
Thanks,
you.
Frank.
All right, in the back, on the other side, Jennifer, come on down. Today, we're going to talk about just senior services. Or MOCO. You can talk about all of them together, however you want to go.
Good morning.
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 Notice I'm sitting, and I'm glad you all are too. I'm just kidding.
That's not a good way to start.
No, you wanted answers, and I think I have them. So we'll start with the senior center. A couple things first. So the Mancus Senior Center is being remodeled. So the lady from Mancus is coming in to Cortez, helping with our meals, and then taking the meals back and doing like a Meals on Wheels. So we were talking to the Grange, and they would let us use the Grange on Fridays to do a congregate meal for the seniors over there. And I think that's a really good idea because they aren't getting that interaction right now with the remodel going on. They're only going to charge us $40 a night, or a day, I mean, which is $160 a month, which is a lot less we pay for the Mancus Senior Center anyway. So I think if that's okay with you guys, I think that would be something that would really help over there so they don't lose contact and lose touch.
Yeah.
So-
How long, they said 3 months that remodel was going to last, right?
Yeah.
So,
Like November, I think? Was it?
so that can be a question that we talk, we have that meeting over
Thursday.
there in Mancus Thursday night.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay,
that-
yeah,
That would be a question that we can bring up over there.
okay.
I don't obviously see an issue. I mean, we have a set-aside dollar value that we pay monthly to them anyway.
Right.
If it just moves to someplace else,
Right, because
same.
right now we're not paying that
Right.
until the remodel's done, so, and it's less. I mean, it's
Yeah.
less days, she'd still have to come over here 2 days a week, but I think that at least one day for them to get together would be amazing. So,
I don't,
That'd be good.
that money's in there, we set aside that money anyway, so.
okay,
Use
great.
it someplace else.
Okay, great, then I will get that started, probably not till next Friday. And then cleaning deposits, I found where we're charging, or what we're charging for the annex and the kitchen. However, we don't, for county employees, we don't charge them, but some of them don't clean up. So I don't know if we can do a deposit, because then my cook is coming in and having to clean up before she cooks. So I don't know if we can just cut, like a $50 cleaning deposit just to make sure it gets cleaned. I don't know if that's something we can do. I just want to see, I don't want my cook to be cleaning before she cooks.
Before we do that, I think we maybe should just send out an email and remind county employees that it's important that they clean and clean up after themselves. I mean, it seems like it would not require that, but it seems like that would be a good place to start.
Okay, I can do that. Do you want me to run it by you before I do that? I mean, write it out?
I think you
or-
can get with Travis.
Yeah.
And send it out to the department heads. I don't think that has to go through us. I mean, if
Okay.
it's gonna be, if we decide to put a deposit, then that has to go through us, but day-to-day operations, Travis can take care of that.
And if you
Okay.
could identify which group is doing that, let Travis know.
I will. I haven't since I've been there, but we do have a bunch of people that are coming up that are doing it, so. But I will. I'll see if I can figure out who it is. So the answer to your question the other day about the funding in 2022-23 with AAA is, so the senior center had transit all the way up until 2019 is when we started taking it over. 2019 contract with AAA was already done, so that went to June of 2020. Well, what happened in 2020 is COVID hit. So all of the programs that they did weren't able to be done. And then they were getting a lot of extra money. We transit did too. We got a lot of extra money from AAA. And in 1 month or 1 year, I think it was 2019, 2020, that the senior center actually got $20,000 in leftover money too from the AAA. So in 2022, 23, when it went down to the 99,351, is first transit wasn't in there, and transit was about 40, 45 a year on top of what the senior center got. And then that's when COVID money stopped. So, because back in 2020, 2021, they got 206,999. That was with the COVID money. So that 2022-23 year, or 2022, yes, for 99,000 was just the fact that transit wasn't in there anymore. COVID had hit, so they weren't able to do the congregate meals anymore. And then they also stopped doing these programs. There's 5 programs that they just discontinued doing that actually gave them more money. And part of that's COVID. They couldn't do them. But that's kind of where that happened. This year, it was 147 or 142 plus transit, so now it's 197. So that's where you get your differences. So, yeah. So it really wasn't, it was just a mixture of things. Data was not being entered correctly as well, so it just all kind of culminated into this, this is what you're getting. So, any questions?
Data entry.
Yeah, that is something that I am very picky about. The data entry needs to be correct. So
Right.
everything goes across my desk before it gets submitted at this point. So for both programs. So, any questions on the senior center?
Yeah, where do we stand with the Dolores? I was at that meeting last Monday. They still haven't made a decision yet as far as their community center over there. Have you heard anything else?
No, I'm
Is
going
it-
over there tomorrow for their senior lunch.
Mm-hmm.
To talk to them and because we have to get some forms to them that they need to start filling out. We're trying to get them a phone, because they don't get any they can't get any calls for their meals, so they don't know how, I mean, 12 people will call or tell us or whatever, and then 21 will show up. So we got to get some kind of program going for that. But as far as, I don't know a whole lot about that yet.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get everything kind of together, so. And then, so transit, we'll flip the hat. We finally got funding for the new van. That will be for, the one for 2022. So, they did go from 86,000 to 101,705 for that van. So that was the new contract that they came up with. So our match was gonna be 20,341. So, I mean, we need it. And then the 14 passenger van, I've been still looking. They discontinued doing the 2022s, and now they're into 2023s, but they're not quite there yet. So as soon as I can get that, because that's gonna be our RICO van. And we do start RICO this week, so, yeah. We have 2 people. But it's a start. And
See
then.
where it goes from there.
Huh?
Just see where it goes from there.
Yes, exactly.
It's a pilot program anyway, so.
Right, so yeah, we're just gonna kind of watch it and see what happens, and this is a shopping trip, it's not doctor's visits or anything, so. And as far as numbers, we're trending up again. So we were at about 860 for last month, so hopefully
Good.
we'll just keep going. Yeah. We do have that, it's not an ad, the little PSA in, I think that's what it is, right? In that little yellow book that I showed you guys last time. We did add some wording for the senior center, for the meals, in that, so that changed a little bit, but it's just adding to, so. And then the radio stations I'm still working on, so. That's about it for transit.
Okay,
We're fully staffed again, so.
good.
Don't be bragging on that, okay?
I know. Any questions for anything?
No, thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Gosh, we're moving right along. All right. Unfinished business. Travis, we talked about, a letter of support last week for Farmers Telecommunication Company. And Ian, I guess this is what you put together, or Travis, so I'll let you guys have the floor.
Yeah, this is just the letter of support for the last mile for farmers to get some grant funding so that they can build out to unserved or underserved consumers. So it's pretty straightforward. There's nothing on the county as far as financially. It's just we're going to support their project and help them to move forward to provide broadband to those customers.
Right. Do you have anything else you want to add, Mr. McLean?
No, no, this is just a letter of support. I actually didn't write this, wasn't involved in this, but really what it is just offering support to farmers to go and try to get that funding.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I moved it. We signed this letter of support for the Farmers Telephone Communications for the Back 40 project.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to sign a letter of support for Farmers Telecommunication Company for the Back 40 grant. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, then we had a resolution for the Upper 42 Road, LID, Local Improvement District. Ian, did you have that one?
I did, yeah. It was just working with Mr. Smith this week to get this resolution finalized. Last week, we set the public hearing for September 26th to allow for public comment on the creation of the local improvement district. So this is just a resolution memorializing that. By signing this today, you guys are just going to basically allow Mr. Smith to move forward with getting notices out and doing everything that he needs to do before that public hearing, so we can get this moving forward. Again, this is for the improvements for the water infrastructure up on the Upper Road 42 project. The resolution, just if you do decide to pass it, it's a little bit cumbersome to find the signature lines. Those are going to be on page 8 and page 9. It's a little bit different than our standard resolution, page 7 and page 8. So Commissioner Candelaria, you would sign on page 7, and then there's some information that needs to be filled in on page 8 pertaining to who made the motion and the voting.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions for Ian? I think we pretty much discussed this in length and feel that it's a pretty good project to help them form this local improvement district to supply water to 25 lots. And I think they said 50 people.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot off of the Mancos water dock, which helps them out significantly also. It's been about I think they said a decade or a little bit more process that they've been working to try and get this thing accomplished and done, so.
And just for clarification for members of the public, this doesn't put the county on the hook for anything. We're not paying any money towards this. All we're doing is just allowing this to move forward on the ballot. Or have a public hearing to potentially move it forward on the ballot, I guess would be the most accurate way to put it.
Correct. Do we have a number? A resolution number?
I move to approve resolution number 2023-17, declaring the intention of the Board of County Commissioners of Montezuma County, Colorado, to create a local improvement district within the county to be designated as Montezuma County Local Improvement District number 2023-1, Upper Road 42, adopting details and specifications therefore, and ordering publication and mailing of notice of hearing to the owners of the property to be assessed for improvement in said district.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept and sign resolution number 17, 2023. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have to sign that other page too. I think we'll have to sign.
Yeah. It says commissioners voting aye and commissioners voting nay.
I think Kim does all that.
All right.
Good.
Okay. Then we also have a discussion as far as it related to the corner, keeping a backup vehicle. We did meet last week after this presentation. We did go through the budgetary numbers that were presented for the budget going forward. We were able to move, take away some from a couple other line items to make this mesh. We did a analysis with Shane to see how many miles the current vehicle runs, which was about 15,000 miles a year. So even if it's half time, it would be anywhere between 7,000 and 8,000 miles a year. Did 65 cents a mile, which really is what it cost us for fuel, insurance, everything, which is the GSA rate, and move that money around. So it is, there is enough money the way we move things around that he can keep that if you gentlemen so wish to do that. But that was a request to look at the budget to see if it was doable, and it is doable.
I was sitting there, I believe it was Sunday, listening to call, and the coroner was called out, and I think he justified it very well, so I'm in favor of the coroner keeping that extra vehicle.
Is that a motion?
Also move.
Second.
Okay, then it's been moved and seconded to allow the coroner to keep a secondary vehicle for backup purposes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. New business, Mr. McLean, we're going to talk about this letter regarding the BEAD program. This was sent to us, came from CCI. I think you all saw the email. It's just a matter of whether we sign on to this or not.
That is correct. As you well know, most of the reason we weren't even eligible for the NTI grant was because of this letter of credit requirements. And it really is becoming quite a thorn in most county sides and most municipalities. So Commissioner Salka in La Plata County has been kind of spearheading this, trying to get something resolved here. And I ran this by Ian, and he didn't see any issue with this. We're not really putting it on letterhead or anything formal. It's more of just a link, a Google Docs. You just go there and say, yes, we support this idea of, waiving the letter of credit requirements, because we're going to be going after some BEAD money, and it's also affecting us in the CPF stuff, and so that's what this is for. It's just to say, yeah, we agree with all the other municipalities that we need, as government entities, we need to be able to waive it.
Okay.
And one thing I would add, I mean, we worked a lot on trying to figure out this letter of credit issue when we were applying for the NTIA grant before. And, the Colorado Constitution doesn't allow counties to pledge credit. And so it really creates a difficulty for local government entities like ours when we're trying to go after funding that in a lot of ways was intended for build outs in counties like ours. And so, my recommendation would be to move forward with this today. Again, all we're doing is just pledging our support and saying, hey, we think this letter of credit requirement should be waived, as Mr. McLean said. What I asked Mr. McLean to do is just to provide a copy of that letter for our minutes, so we have a record of that, and then the actual signing is going to be, or the actual pledge of support is going to be done online. And so I think we've got that set up, and we should be good to move forward.
I could do that. I'll supply the letter, and I'll get it to Kim when we're done.
All right. Any question?
No. We started trying to bring internet service, / fiber service, just about the same time as we started that trail project in Mesa Verde.
Yeah.
And it's been like pulling teeth to get adequate internet service down here.
Well, the truth of it is I've actually been working on this for almost 11 years, trying to come up with a solution, and every time you hit a roadblock, and whether it's, red tape, and now we're running into another issue with CDOT. Here we go again. They're changing the rules again.
The same roadblock exists for the trail program, exists for our internet program, and that's
Exactly.
CDOT.
We were on a meeting Friday, and we had Jonas from CDOT on there, and they were talking about their new road structure and their new fee structures. And he came on and said, well, the new fee is $3,500 per strand, per mile, per year. Okay, well, there isn't a single entity on the planet, really, that could even justify that. And so we found proof that is not what was said before in the writing. It was $1,500 per strand, per mile for 20 years. So it's like, they just keep changing it, and they're contradicting themselves. But we can't even go after, we're going to run into this with our new ISP, that's Clear Networks, that's working on their stuff. And once they get outside the city limits, here we go again. We're going to start running into roadblocks.
What if they go around CDOT
Well,
and use our county roads?
That's already what's being discussed, is just start going down county roads and just stay off the highways.
But eventually, to tie it together, you've got to
Yeah.
get down a highway.
Yeah,
We don't have there's not county roads that go from,
But
well, we're still in discussions with Empire too about using their poles in the county, because that could changed the game some, other than you still have some of the CDOT right-of-way issues that you have to deal with. So it really defeats the whole purpose of us trying to get this middle mile between here and Mancos and Dolores and Dolores Cortez if we can't go down the highways.
So then I guess the direction from the board today is that we will sign this letter, and I'll get with you, and then we'll figure out how to do it online.
Okay,
Okay?
absolutely.
Is that,
Yeah.
am I
Yeah.
correct?
You
I
need a
don't think
motion
we
to
need
sign the
a
letter.
formal motion. Do we need a formal motion on that, Ian?
Yes.
Okay.
I would so move we sign the letter regarding the BEAD program.
Second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to sign the letter regarding the BEAD program as discussed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Mhm. Okay. James Dietrich. Public lands. Good morning.
Morning.
Guess I'll try a new station today here. Wanted to let the commissioners know that I attended the FEMA floodplain workshop in Grand Junction last week. I think commissioners were all aware that we're engaging in some revisions to the floodplain, and that should be done within a couple of years here. One of the things that we discussed pretty heavily was the fluvial hazard mapping, which is kind of a new program that they're kicking off. So far, there's no regulatory element to this mapping, but it is kind of interesting. It's another way of looking at what we've got out there and comparing that to the 100-year floodplain, for example. And one of the reasons they're taking a look at this is that back in 2013, as we recall, the heavy flooding that happened up on the Front Range, about 57% of all the property damage that was reported came from outside the floodplain. So I think that that's really kind of a wake-up call for taking a look at those floodplains. That 100-year floodplain, I think, it's based on good data. It's a good guess, but again, when we're dealing with a river that's pushing really pushing, again, that's just a guess. So taking a look outside of that floodplain and trying to get a pretty good understanding of what that river may do in a heavy event is good planning. So we've spent a lot of time on that. In fact, I'm going to back up a little bit. A couple weeks ago, I attended a workshop on fluvial hazard mapping in Mancos at the Mancos Water Conservation District. We talked about all this stuff. To get down to where some of the planning might be helpful is we're looking at, for example, that culvert that's on the 160 bypass. According to all the modeling that they can do through the fluvial hazard mapping, it looks like that culvert is probably significantly undersized for a large event. And based off the modeling that you can do, it looks like if that became plugged up, you'd get water that backs up nearly all the way into town. So those are the kind of things that we can look at, talk with CDOT about in the future when that culvert eventually gets replaced. And again, we did talk to them about that through the trail project, and it was not on their list. We are pointing out to them that it is probably undersized. So these are the kind of things that we just kind of want to get our heads around in the future on it. Again, at this point, is non-regulatory, just something for us to be thinking about. In getting back to the roads piece of that, we did have a conversation a lot about the emergency responses, and we've already witnessed a little bit of this in the county, but they're also saying that 67% of the people who drown in a flood event do so in a car. So really taking a look at those culverts and those roads, and this is a big piece of public education too. The whole campaign message, turn around, don't drown, that really is meaningful because you can't see under that water. You have no idea whether you're driving on a solid road bank or whether you've got, a 10-foot cut that's underneath that water. You just can't tell. So pretty interesting and stark statistics on, how we're managing our flood waters in the state.
Where the road washes out from underneath of you?
Yeah, that's
Correct, yeah.
drop off into a
Yeah.
raging river.
So Anyway, taking a look at all the flood mapping, and we'll have another chance to take a hard look at the mapping revisions that come through for Montezuma County. I'm anticipating the main revisions will have to do with the Dolores River Valley. All that is zoned AE up there, and when you're in an AE zone, we're supposed to really be treating that as if it is all floodway. So one of the, which carries some really heavy engineering requirements behind it. So one of the things that we can do when we get the revision is ask for a floodway to be established. So that would take your floodplain, which currently we have to look as floodway, down to something like this. So and that's where things get pretty serious in terms of people doing something within that floodway. Then that kicks in some really serious heavy engineering to back up what they're doing. I don't think we've got a lot of problems up the Dolores River Valley. I mean, we just don't have the density up there to where, putting in a new house is going to cause a rise or anything of that nature. So we're still in pretty good shape up there. But again, if we can get that floodway established, that tells us exactly where we need to do the extra work and where we don't. So that would help the management side of that, I think. Also wanted to let the commissioners know that we had a 70% design review for the Pass to Mesa Verde with the Central Federal Lands. We did that last week. I've already mentioned to the commissioners, we've got some significant changes to the budget, that our budget has increased considerably. So that necessitates us looking at trying to split that project up into phases. And one of the things that we would like to do, we're still planning to start in 2026, but we definitely want to spend out all the MMOF funding as fast as we can. So if we can spend that out and focus those dollars at kind of one of the pinch points, a hard spot, hopefully we can get that project work, get something done on the ground and get through one of the hard spots at least. I'm sort of thinking in the conversation right now is focusing those dollars at the 160 intersection, to at least get us through that portion of it. We did walk some other portions of that project site. We are seeing some conflicts with the landowner right there at that folk art location. The conflict there really has to do with the way the trail's designed. We need to lay that slope back to be able to meet our ADA requirements. It does eliminate a retaining wall, which is a significant cost savings. The conflict arises because the fence line appears to be located in the incorrect position relative to the CDOT right-of-way. And so this gentleman feels like he's got about 30 feet a yard. It looks like it could be impacted. And again, we're double checking all this. The surveyors will be out there to validate everything. They've already marked it at this point, and it looks pretty likely that that fence line is just out of position. So we will try to work with this gentleman as best we can to mitigate any impacts that he might feel like he has on his business. I think the net result is going to probably be positive for his business. He had concerns that doing any of the grading changes through there would block views of his displays up on the hillside, but really laying that slope down will do nothing but really increase the visibility of his site. He does have concerns about interruptions to the traffic flow out there on Highway 160. I just really don't anticipate the traffic flow to be interrupted at that location. It is off of the highway enough that all the construction work should be able to happen without really closing down any lanes or interfering with traffic. And the other thing is I think we're, phasing this out. That would be probably in a second phase. So at minimum, we're 2026 to even begin construction. Likely, if we have to, phase this project in, that will be coming in a later phase, 27, 28, something like that. So anyway, we're just going to do our best to work with this gentleman to alleviate his concerns. But anyway, the highway right-of-way will, that can of worms is already opened, and I think that the highway department is probably looking at relocating the fence line regardless of what we do with the project. So,
So it's about a 30-foot encroachment inside the CDOT right away?
yeah, there's a spot where it's probably about 30. It varies, but yeah, it's roughly about 30 feet. Yeah,
That's
quite a miss. Yeah.
It's banks
Yeah.
straight up like
Yeah.
that, and right to the, and the fence is right at the top of the bank.
but it sounds like the fence should be back to the south then.
Yeah, but I can tell you, CDOT built that fence.
Oh. Well, they built it wrong.
They put the fence there,
Is that,
didn't they?
That's correct,
They
yes.
built it wrong.
They put the fence there.
doesn't affect
Not
his
that guy.
setbacks, does it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
It doesn't affect his setbacks.
No, it shouldn't affect
No,
the
there's-
setbacks, no.
there's
He's still got
nothing
room
Plenty of
there.
room up there.
Yeah. There's no structures there.
Yeah.
It's all just,
It's pretty close to his house.
That's what I
If
was
you went
thinking.
30 feet from that fence, it'd move over there pretty close to his house, wouldn't it?
Well,
I was trying to think
you
how
know,
far it is back.
there's still quite a bit of room there, Gerald. There's at
Is
least
there?
another 30 feet or more.
I mean, I'm just trying to remember how
Yeah.
far it was back from that fence,
Yeah.
but his house is right there too, so.
Right.
It would move it back pretty close.
Yeah, I can understand why the gentleman, you know, all this time, he's felt like that was his yard, and now somebody says, well, you got the fence in the wrong place, and he didn't even build it, so, I mean, he's a little upset about it. However, would mention that the trail itself would be outside of the existing fence even, so the trail itself probably is not going to have that much of an impact for him. He was a little concerned about that, but, you know, again, that's probably net benefit for his business. So,
yeah, a lot of,
anyway,
a lot of visual for people going. Wow.
yeah, and, you know, I think in some ways, grading that slope back, reseeding it, you know, it'll have a nice even finished landscape. You know, I think, you know, visually, it'll be pretty attractive and probably helpful for him too. We're still working on the right-of-way on the Cortez side. I think that's going pretty well. We've got at least a tentative agreement from everybody up to Denny Lake. Visited with the city last week. They're on board with it. So that puts us down to one last landowner, which is behind the Baymont. They've been relatively unresponsive, so we'll send them a certified letter. The last time around, we've talked with this landowner in the past, and they were open to discussions. So we think it's probably just a matter of trying to get this up, raised up on their radar screen, enough to get another conversation started. But we also have some alternatives once we get to that point too. So anyway, my message is that the right-of-way investigation is going very well, and I think we will be concluding that pretty much right on time. We are still finalizing the environmental reporting on segment B, and of course that's where we've discovered 3 cultural sites, but there's a number of other things out there, the last one being highway markers, the old right-of-way markers, which were those concrete obelisks. So it's taken a while, but I think we finally got a location on all of those. So anyway, the environmental report is coming to a conclusion on all that. We've got that out for the last round of comments coming in from CDOT. Assuming everything has been handled pretty well in that, I think we'll get an approval on that, and that'll get us to our 70% review on that. This week we'll be meeting with Jim Spratlin and some other stakeholders, basically focused on wildfire. Because the Salter vegetation management project has been held up in litigation, we were a little bit worried about losing access to some of the CFLRP money. However, part of the purpose of this meeting is to really kind of take a look at other areas within the forest. And of course, CFLRP dollars go onto the federal side. But we really want to kind of meet with you know, like a Wildfire Adaptive Partnership, everybody that's been working on the wildfire mitigation work up there. The objective is to really kind of pair up projects that are on the federal side with projects that we might have going on private side. And of course the CFLRP legislative language, it spells out some of the things that we have to do, some criteria that has to be met. And so what we'll do is just try to match up areas that we think that those dollars could be beneficial to the county with the projects that the U.S. Forest Service has already got going, and try to see if we can match that criteria up so that we can meet our reporting obligation then for CFLRP. You know, we'll be targeting projects that are already NEPA ready, so we can hopefully truncate that process and get some dollars on the ground. And part of the reason we're really trying to take a jump on this is that we need to get some projects in the hopper by October, at least identify those projects, so that we can have them on the books for next year and the following year. So anyway, we're just trying to get this project going in Montezuma County because, you know, it's competitive and we don't want to lose dollars to other counties out there. We will also discuss the upcoming Community Wildfire Defense Grant. And of course, we'll pull Robert Dobry in on that conversation. Some of the things that we need to look at in that really kind of relates to our CWPP, which we said we were going to update every October, or at least do a review on that. So this will be a part of that process. And what we really want to do is identify the project area on the private side of the fence so that we can match that up with CFLRP dollars. But we also really want to identify what other needs we can meet through that potential grant, which would be personnel needs, as well as any equipment needs. And we've been talking with Bonnie about that, and Rob through the road department. And if there's any equipment that kind of fits several different slots, that's the kind of equipment I think we'd like to try to target. And again, we'll be evaluating all this, in correlation with the CWPP, and we'll be trying to update that in October if anything emerges. And then the last thing I'll be doing is I'm in the middle of doing quarterly reports for all the open projects that we've got, which will be due at the end of the month here, and that'll probably eat up the rest of the week. Okay, well, sorry for the lengthy report today, but
It's good.
okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Appreciate it, James. Mr. Anderson, Mr. McLaren, I see you there.
Yep, I'm here. We have a pretrial conference this week, Thursday, in the Ellis Lewis land use matter. Still waiting on an order on that summary judgment motion. We haven't gotten an order one way or the other, but we do have a pretrial conference, and then trial is scheduled for September 7th. And so I'll let you know. We should have a better idea of where we stand after the pretrial conference. My assumption is that we're going to move forward with that trial. The county is prepared to move forward with that trial. Again, it's just really a matter of what the status on that summary judgment order is, so we'll see where that ends up. I met with the Fair Board yesterday concerning the situation that we had out at the county fair. After that meeting, I feel much better about where things stand, and so we'll continue to monitor that situation and move forward. Other than that, I don't really have a lot to report. We've gotten a couple core requests in the last couple days, and so working through those. Those always keep our departments busy, keep me busy, and that's where we're at.
Okay, thank you. Questions for Ian?
No.
Gentlemen? Okay. All right, Mr. Anderson, payables, I know we have those on there because we have it written down this time.
Yes, sir. Not a whole lot to report. I took a couple days last week. Got 2 grandkids back to back in different states, so I'm a happy camper.
Busy camper.
Yeah. So I was able to go see one of my grandsons, and my wife went and saw the other. So
Great.
yeah. The payables, pull those up. General fund was $1,799,174.83. Road and Bridge, $1,240,904.33. Public Health, $194,230.47. Capital Fund, $8,392. Administration Fund, $3,008.88. Landfill, $88,346.11. Check registered total was $3,334,056.62. Social services, $1,478,529.63, with a total of $4,812,586.25.
Okay, question?
I'm not going to wade in on the math today. I'm steering clear.
Yeah, we're not gonna let you.
So,
I move we approve the payables in the amount of $4,812,586.25.
Second.
So moved and seconded to accept the payables for the month of July in the amount of $4,812,586.25. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Commissioner Copenhaver.
I don't have a lot to report this week, just a few phone calls and complaint or two about our striping situation still, wondering how many chances this company gets before we change companies, was the question I got asked twice in the last week. So I guess we can have that conversation with Rob at some time, but that's all I had.
Somebody needs a string?
Well, I mean, I got asked the
Well,
same
you
question
know,
twice.
Here's the issue, because I went back out and looked at those, and they've repainted a lot of them gray and then went back over them. So in a perfect world, the alignment is straight. However, if you drive down these county roads, they are not straight. So they're, and I'm not trying to defend anybody, I'm just saying, think about it. The roads zig and zag, and they go over, all over, and even in the cross intersections, they're not perfectly aligned at all. They're offset. So, you know, these guys are moving at 10, 15 miles an hour, and I'm not defending anybody, but
So if we get
it
pulled
is
over for speeding,
not,
we blame the road?
it is not the easiest thing in the world to get them 100% straight, but I agree. I mean, at some point in time, we have to.
There goes the
I
theory of
just
driving with
got asked
one eye.
that question twice by two different people, the same question
Yeah.
in 1 week, so you can.
And here again, that, like I say, if they try to stay in the center of the road is moving. So, anyway. Go ahead.
I'm
Commissioner
like
Lindsay.
Gerald, I don't have much to report. Pretty tough to beat that one. Anyway, we did have a meeting yesterday with the Dolores County Commissioners up at Bradfield Bridge and talked about some campground improvements and some not-so campground improvements, and we'll go from there. That's about all I have. City council tonight, but that's about all I have.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give the road department a shout out because they did get, with the funding that the Forest Service provided, that $75,000, the biggest part of 526 road all the way up to the county line has been blade patched, which driving up and down that road now is significantly better. We didn't line it, but the patching is there, so if you're driving, you know, stay on the right side of the road. So thank you to the road department and the Forest Service for the funding they provided for that road coming into our county. I appreciate it. Same, you know, pretty much with these guys. It was actually somewhat of a quiet week last week, just a few emails and a few phone calls. But other than that, it was pretty quiet. We did meet, as Commissioner Lindsay said yesterday, with the Dolores County Commissioners on a cabin and Ferris campgrounds that actually reside in Montezuma County, but you have to go through Dolores County to get to them, and the conditions of those and steps moving forward. So there'll be more to come on that, working with the Forest Service as we get closer. And with that, I have nothing else. So gentlemen?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, wait a minute. I do have one other thing to say, and this is to address the public comment that Ms. Shull put forward. So in the past, the Fair Board has brought a wish list to us. This last year, their wish list, which we got accomplished, was the remodel of the bathrooms, the exterior bathrooms down by the way, I guess you call it just the weigh-in.
Between
where
the
they-
barns and the
where they do the
outdoor
weigh-in.
arena.
We got that accomplished. We did a transformer upgrade. We did electrical upgrades on the south side of the, is it the poultry barn, sheep barn, whatever you call it? The south, the
Chicken,
south
rabbit
barn.
pig barn.
So we did get quite a few, as far as funding will go for that. The year prior, we worked with them getting that extension of the wash rack accomplished and put together. So when they bring us their wish list, I mean, we obviously look at the funding to try and see what we can and cannot get done. So this year, we were able to get a significant amount of work done to the fairgrounds, and obviously, most of it is for the benefit.
Well, we upgraded the handicapped accessibility lift,
Oh, correct.
and we're working on the fire suppression system now.
Yeah. So,
No, for the whole building.
for the whole building. So although there are some things that people don't see because they just don't go out there enough or visit those things, as the Fair Board brings those forward, we spend a lot of money out there to make those discussions. And this is not a debate, I'm just giving you information. So just to let you know that as the Fair Board brings us their wish list, we really do try to put it into the budget to see what we can and cannot get done out there. And we've also raised our fees out there to try and just accommodate that to where we're not losing so much money out there annually, because it is a big bleed for the county. So that's all I have. And would you second that motion, sir?
Yes, I did.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn this August 22nd meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.